This company called 53, they create this app for the iPad called Paper. It's the drawing app. And they started last year, and they got to be almost the #1 or the #1 app in the App Store. I don't know. They did very, very well. And it's a sketch and drawing app, perhaps the #1 drawing app, with only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors for everybody to pick from, right? So you have 50,000 apps with color pickers. Their app is all the way up there. You can't even pick a color. And they came to me and they said, hey, Amit, nobody can pick a color in our app because we are not going to design a color picker until we do it right. And we want you to come in and help us figure out what a color picker should be. It's such a fundamental thing, but you have to go through the entire route of color theory and basically go before Photoshop and then come back again and with something that works. Kitchen table coders. So I'm at the studio with a bunch of other, so my studio where I work in Brooklyn, this is an industrial area in Brooklyn, half of it is a recording music studio. A lot of my instruments are there, and it's a studio. You've heard things coming out of that studio, I'm sure, on your iPhone and iPads and Android phones. And the other half is this huge nerd station where a bunch of us have been hanging out for years, working together. And most of us also teach. I've been teaching probably between all of us across all the graduate schools in New York. And we were always talking about, especially David Nolan, who's one of the most talented coders in New York, and myself about how we would love to teach. If we could teach anywhere, any way we could, instead of a semester-long thing, like what would it be? But we never did anything about it. We never did just talking, drinking and talking, and then one day the rent just goes like that. And we're like, oh no, right? We have to do something. And we decided to open Kitchen Table Coders. It took that to do it. And the idea behind Kitchen Table Coders is that 2 days before, like someone comes up with a crazy workshop that's going to teach you something about code. It could be, hey dancers, let's teach you how to code for the first time. Hey doctors, let's teach you how to code. Hey crazy coders who've been coding for 30 years, let us show you something crazy. Or hey everybody who's doing iOS stuff, let us show you the language that started with all that's called small talk. All sorts of crazy things. There's one about humor in code. Anyway, anything to do with code. But it only happens 2 days before. Someone comes up with an idea, you have 2 days to figure out the workshop, you send an email to everybody, but we only allow as many people who can fit around the kitchen table. It's not mass online blah. It's not everybody look at this projector. It's typically 5 people looking at each other and talking about something they care about for 4 or 5 hours. And that's how I like to teach, and that's how I wish I could always teach, but it's not always possible. And so we created this learning method, this super ad hoc way of doing things. And here this is the studio. As you can see, it's not clean. Because it used to be a sweatshop. This is during the day, and this is how it looks like. There's typically a lot of crazy books. We talk about stuff like neuroscience, and I didn't organize this nicely for a picture. This is the way the table looks like. And we get donuts from your favorite place, and we do it. And the fun thing about it, and suddenly this gets attention, it's in the major newspapers, and people are starting to ask us if we're a startup, and we're like, we're not a fucking startup. And people start asking us if we trademark the word kitchen table, and we had to stop and say, everybody, not only we didn't trademark any of this, if you want to open a kitchen table quarters across the street from us and tell everybody you're the original kitchen table quarters, which would be a jackassy thing to do, but if you want to do it, we would help you do it. The way that we scale this thing is not by making the kitchen table bigger, it's not by getting VC money, it's simply by showing more people that their kitchen tables can be used to fucking learn anything they want to learn. That's us, and we do all these fun projects in New York. This was in the New Museum, which is a wonderful museum, together with Rhizome, which is a wonderful organization, which I encourage you to donate to. And we did this really funny thing. This is the last thing I'll show you. We did this thing with, in the New Museum, they handed out these flyers. In New York, there's this flyer that's for a guitar player that's called Dan Smith, and I don't have it here. So it's like, Dan Smith will teach you how to play guitar, and it's all over the city. And this is a guy who teaches guitar lessons, right? So we're like, we will teach you how to code from an artist. And so this was handed over to people who come into the new museum. And then one day in the museum, we closed all the bottom floor there. They did. And we just put a bunch of kitchen tables. And artists who show work at the museum came in to teach other people how to code. And this was, it was so lightweight and lo-fi and so casual that we got a lot of people to, first of all, realize that artists can code. Secondly, realize that the work that they're looking at this very beautiful museum was coded by someone. And most important, tell them that this is accessible. If there's a family from Milwaukee coming in to see art in the new museum, they should understand that code isn't something that you do only in a graduate program when you have a lot of money to pay for it. You can start learning anytime, any place, and do things you never imagined you could do with it. And so we're trying to do these kind of events to in a very lightweight way to show people that just get started at any time, at any place, and don't have big receptions about it. Just because 50 years ago code was used to launch missiles, things have changed. And so that's Kitchen Table Coders. I'm going to leave you now in the very capable hands of Memo, which I'm looking forward to seeing his presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me for now.